from the Theosophical Society, Adyar, and she actually is part of Crotona in Ojai, California. And I will let her give us her message.
So I'm very grateful for this opportunity today to represent Theosophical Society, Adyar, of which I am a member, and I feel myself blessed of being a member of it. However, during this conference, I would like to encourage us all to try to temporarily step away from the identification of belonging to a particular organization or group and simply perceive each other as the seekers of truth, united by our common aspiration for the universal brotherhood. I would also like us all to contemplate on the following question. What has changed in me as I am learning what Theosophy is? Each one of us has their unique spiritual path. Some of us came to this life remembering some of the principles of divine wisdom. Some were reawakened by coming in across theosophical teachings through books or magazines, any theosophical literature, or being introduced to them through other people. In either way, study of Theosophy challenges our world perception, inspires us to explore ourselves and to question everything, which inevitably ignites our intuition. I perceive Theosophy as life itself, and to be a Theosophist is the most natural way of life. I believe understanding Theosophy doesn't come from repeating what Blavatsky, Judge, Olga, Krishnamurti, or other Theosophists said, or through presenting theosophical ideas in lectures and talks. We can accumulate knowledge of the cycles of cosmic evolution, of the human septenary nature, of reincarnation and karma, but it won't necessarily contribute to our wisdom. Only through inward contemplation, being open to everything about us and our fellow men, we can act wisely in the relationships with other people and in harmony with life. Present situation in the world is far from being harmonious. Needless to say that fear, intolerance, hatred, false values, and competition do not exactly contribute to unity among people. Mankind as a whole strives to overcome hostility and foster friendship. However, hatred and anger still exist among people, separating us from each other. And nowadays, nationalistic attitude prevails over global cosmopolitan outlook at the world. And thus, the vision of humanity as a family is actually, for majority of our mankind, considered to be somewhat utopia. Yet it is in our ability to come together as humanity lies our hope for a peaceful future. Does brotherhood imply one's participation in political or social or any other external reform? Not necessarily. There are a lot of organizations that promote brotherhood as a noble idea of human equality and unity, without distinction of race, color, creed, etc. Their work is certainly very valuable, and we as individuals can support such organizations and their work through our volunteer work and financial contributions. And however, all these activities deal with the consequences, but not with the cause of the suffering we see and experience. Theosophy, however, speaks of the universal brotherhood as a definite fact of nature, as essential unity of all life. It exists here and now. Nowadays, slowly, modern science is rediscovering the idea that life emerges from within. This gives us a broader outlook at the world. Perhaps we can come closer to the realization of the unity of life if we look at humanity as a state of consciousness. Just like our physical body is influenced by the physical bodies of other people, improving or worsen common level of health, which is evident in case of contagious diseases. In a similar way, our virtues and wisdom elevate the universal morality and human consciousness. We all have experienced the influence of our thoughts and emotions on other forms of life, not just fellow human beings. Our thoughts can either heal or injure, and they can agitate or pacify, and their effect has no obstacle. Each one of us is responsible for well-being of this world. Thus, when we recognize that brotherhood is not a mere cherished hope, but a reality, our attitude towards life changes, just as our role in it. We naturally aspire to be more altruistic and tolerant. We recognize the opportunities to be of unconditional help to others, because it is a right and kind thing to do. And we include into the affinity of our goodwill other forms of life, such as animal and plant kingdoms. Moreover, we realize that our progress in spiritual development is not something limited only for ourselves, but it fosters the evolution of others as well. Gradually, we begin to understand that not only our actions must be ethical, but also the quality of our thoughts and motives. Our emotional nature needs to be harmonized and transformed in order that our capacity to love can be increased, for it is our capacity to love and compassion lies the power of helping and healing. Sometimes I feel that we, those who aspire to be Theosophists, try to give a structure to the ideas that can only be truly realized by living them. We have to learn to trust our inner nature that requires flexibility of mind. I will probably now touch a topic that some of us try to avoid mentioning. However, as we all come here together at the ITC, I think it is important to keep it in mind, and several times it has been already kind of mentioned, that when I came across the theosophical teachings, it was of little interest for me to dive into the study of the historical events of the Theosophical Society and movements as a whole. But later I found out about different misunderstandings and arguments that were among Theosophists. So what have we learned from the past, which none of us have been witness of, yet it still haunts a lot of members and non-members? In my humble opinion, whenever we try to crystallize any teaching, we close our mind. We also lose awareness of the present moment. Living theosophical ideals through our heart awakens us from within, because these virtues are our true nature. Our conscience is a proof of our innate goodness. In a way, it is a link between our lower and higher manas, and our discernment comes from our common sense. We are growing spiritually through the relationships with others. This is where we have an opportunity to realize what universal brotherhood is through our own experience of life. In the Western world, we share a common passion to argue. The majority of us are obsessed with desire to impose our opinion on others, trying to persuade them that our point of view is more accurate. If we're wise, we realize that truth has so many sides that these different sides can be revealed in all sorts of opinions. The more we understand this simple fact, the less we want to argue, because truth lies in the unity within diversity. In our ability to think freely is the key to our intuition. It does not really matter what one believes, but whether one is noble, kind, sincere, and true in one's actions. When we're at peace with ourselves, we project tolerance and compassion towards others. It doesn't mean that we will feel kinship with everyone, but inwardly we will recognize humanity in each person. It will not save us from the situations when we will be hurt or we will choose to hurt others. But with practice, we will learn to make choices in harmony with our divine nature and laws of nature. Life is the greatest teacher, and each incarnation is our greatest opportunity to learn to live wisely. So I would say that, honestly, I don't feel like I would like to keep talking more, because I believe that coming together during ITC, there is much more value when we communicate and discuss different questions in study groups, as we all are students of Theosophy, and pretty much we all have our concepts and visions of what brotherhood, nucleus, and healing is for each one of us. And the question is always remains, at least for me, is how can we actually live it? How can we express that brotherhood towards others from within our own heart, recognizing that we are that nucleus of brotherhood? It is not something that is around us or outside of us, but it is within us. And through realization of that nature, we can express it. Thank you.